Once upon a time in a magical forest filled with wonder and delight, there was a hidden village where tiny blue creatures called Smurfs lived in harmony with nature. Their houses were nestled among giant colorful mushrooms, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of glowing flowers. Life in the Smurf village was peaceful until one day when a grumpy old wizard named Gargamel and his mischievous cat, Azrael, stumbled upon their secret hiding place. But the Smurfs were too quick for them, and they managed to outsmart their clumsy pursuers once again. And so, Gargamel and Azrael were forced to retreat into the forest, vowing to find a way to trick the Smurfs and capture them. Meanwhile, back at the Smurf village, life was returning to normal. Papa Smurf, the wise leader of the Smurfs, was sharing his knowledge with the younger Smurfs, teaching them about the importance of nature and the power of friendship. Nearby, Smurfette, the only female Smurf in the village, was picking some magical flowers that glowed in the dark. She used these flowers to light up their homes at night, and their soft, gentle glow could even help heal the sick or injured Smurfs. Brainy Smurf was, as usual, buried in a book, trying to learn everything he could about the world around him. Despite his big brain, he wasn't the smartest sometimes, and he often got things wrong. And then there was Clumsy Smurf, who was known for his cheerful personality and, well, his clumsiness. He was always tripping over things and causing chaos wherever he went, much to the amusement of the other Smurfs. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor, the Smurfs gathered together in their village square for their evening meal. They shared stories and jokes, and the sound of their laughter echoed through the trees. But their merriment was short-lived because suddenly, a strange noise echoed through the forest, the sound of heavy footsteps and angry growls. All the Smurfs froze and looked around in fear. What could be out there in the dark? Papa Smurf, being the brave leader he was, quickly recovered from his surprise and raised his hand to calm the others. "Don't be afraid," he said in his deep, booming voice. "Whatever is out there, we will face it together." With that, the Smurfs stood back to back, ready to defend their village, not knowing that danger was already at their doorstep. Gargamel and Azrael had finally found a way to sneak into the Smurf village unnoticed. They had disguised themselves as harmless forest animals and were now creeping closer and closer to their unsuspecting victims. Gargamel, with his pointy hat and messy gray hair, looked like an old, grumpy badger, while Azrael, with his sleek orange fur and sharp eyes, looked like a cunning fox. As they crept through the trees, they could hear the Smurfs talking and laughing. And Gargamel's heart grew filled with hatred and envy. "Soon, my little Smurfs," he whispered to himself, "soon I will have you right where I want you." Meanwhile, back in the village square, the Smurfs were enjoying their evening. Clumsy Smurf was telling a hilarious joke and everyone was laughing except for Brainy Smurf, who was still looking nervously towards the forest. "Guys, I don't think we should be doing this," he said, his voice shaking. "We're supposed to be hiding from the humans, remember?" But his warnings fell on deaf ears and the Smurfs continued to party. Suddenly, Clumsy Smurf lost his balance and tripped over a tree root. Everyone laughed as he tumbled to the ground, but then they noticed something strange. Two pairs of eyes were staring at them from behind a bush. The Smurfs froze and slowly turned to face the eyes. And what they saw made their hearts skip a beat. It was Gargamel and Azrael. The disguise was gone, and they were now revealing their true forms. "Gargamel," Papa Smurf exclaimed, his voice filled with anger. "What are you doing here?" Gargamel cackled maniacally. "I've come to capture you, my little Smurfs, and take you back to my lab where I can experiment on you and discover all of your secrets." With that, he raised his staff and unleashed a powerful spell. Magic bolts shot from the staff towards the Smurfs, who scattered and hid behind the trees. "Clumsy, get everyone out of here," Papa Smurf yelled, "and be careful." Clumsy nodded, but as he turned to leave, he tripped over a tree root again and fell to the ground. This gave the other Smurfs just enough time to escape into the forest. Now it was just Papa Smurf, Gargamel and Azrael in the clearing. "So, Papa Smurf," Gargamel said with a sneer, "are you going to surrender without a fight?" "Never," Papa Smurf replied, his eyes flashing. With a wave of his magic wand, he summoned a protective shield that blocked Gargamel's spells. Azrael, seeing that Gargamel was in trouble, jumped into action. He darted between the trees, trying to distract Papa Smurf while Gargamel regained his strength. But Papa Smurf was too quick for him and easily dodged Azrael's attacks. Meanwhile, Gargamel was frantically searching for another way to defeat Papa Smurf. He muttered incantations under his breath, his eyes glowing with a sinister light. Then he had an idea. He reached into his robe and pulled out a small vial filled with a strange green liquid. "This should do the trick," he said with a wicked smile. He poured the liquid on the ground and it sizzled and smoked as it made contact with the earth. Then, to Papa Smurf's horror, it began to spread like a thick fog, blocking his vision. Just then Smurfette, Brainy and Clumsy came running back to the clearing. They had heard the commotion and knew that Papa Smurf needed help. "Papa Smurf," Smurfette cried, rushing to his side. "Are you all right?" But before Papa Smurf could answer, Gargamel struck. He grabbed Clumsy by the collar and held him up like a shield against the others. "Give up, Papa Smurf," he demanded, "or I will hurt this little Smurf." Papa Smurf hesitated, torn between his desire to protect his son and his duty to stop Gargamel. But he knew that he couldn't let Gargamel win. So with a deep breath, he calmed his emotions and focused his magic. In a single instant, he teleported himself in front of Gargamel, knocking the staff out of his hands and sending the vial flying. The liquid spilled onto the ground and sizzled, but it was too late for Gargamel to stop it. The potion had already lost its power and all he could do was watch in frustration as Papa Smurf freed Clumsy and the others. "You may have won this battle, Papa Smurf," he snarled, "but I will not rest until I have captured one of your Smurfs." With that, he disappeared into the forest, vowing revenge. And as the moon rose high in the sky, the Smurfs returned to their village, their hearts filled with gratitude for their brave leader and their determination to protect each other. They knew that Gargamel would not give up easily, but they were also prepared to stand up to him, no matter the cost. For they were the Smurfs, and they were strong, united and full of magic. And so their adventures continued in the magical forest where laughter echoed through the trees and the spirit of friendship and bravery burned bright in their tiny blue hearts. So the Smurfs continued to live in their magical forest village, happy and free. They learned that day that even when faced with danger, they could overcome it if they stood together. The Smurfs would like to thank you for watching their story today. And please remember that even when things seem scary, you have friends to help you, so always stay brave and kind. Because that's how the Smurfs do it. See you next time.